Welcome to the Power of One. Today we are going to be speaking with a dynamic young lady who understands that hard work is going to yield to great reward. Please follow your dreams and understand it's going to take time and it's going to take hard work. But once your hard work pays off, the world will know who you are. Please join me in welcoming to the show, Charron Monaye. Welcome to the show, Charron.
Thank you so much. You made me sound like so successful and profound, honey, like I should be in a history book.
You should. And I am sure you will be in a history book. So why don't you tell the viewers a little bit about yourself, where you grew up, where you went to school?
Okay, well, a little bit about myself. I'm a jack of all trades. I am a writer. I do currently work for the Department of Veteran Affairs, so I call myself a corporatepreneur. I am one of those ones who hold down a job and live in her passion and purpose. I am originally born and raised from the 215 Great Philadelphia. I went to school. I actually graduated from Charron Mansion, shout out to Charron Mansion High School. I graduated from Westchester University as well as Keller with my master's degree. So I'm well educated, honey.
Okay. So Charron, tell me something. When you were coming up, what was your dreams or goals to be when you became this adult?
Nothing I'm doing right now, to be completely honest. When growing up, I wanted to be a pediatrician. That was my goal. I wanted to work and serve the babies. However, after seeing children and dealing with, babies and family and friends and TV and seeing how babies act, it was like, no, I don't want to do that. And then learning that I had to be proficient in science and math, I didn't want to do that either. So I actually decided in college, I went to college as a business management person, and then the accounting was like, no, this is not for you either. And then I, happily switched over into poli-sci, which turned into my career in government because I love to write. So I found my home by a long journey.
Okay. So with your passion to write, did that yield to something else other than your 9 to 5?
Actually, it did. It did. I started my writing career at the age of 14. I became a published author. I started this writing career as a poet. And then the poetry turned into sentences when I became a staff writer for the Philadelphia Association of Paralegals. And I wrote as a staff writer with CNN. And then it turned again to become more of a business standpoint because I became a divorcee and a single mom. I, decided to turn my pen into payment. So then that's where my playwriting career came in, my book writing career came in, and now my ghostwriting career. So it has evolved as the needs have changed.
Tell me about your poetry. Does poetry come from past experiences? Does poetry come from love? Does poetry come from hurt? Does poetry come from success? Tell us a little bit about your poetry.
So the poetry I wrote as a teenager, that was my start. And I was introduced to poetry by one of my teachers, Dr. Dark, who showed us how to express ourselves, when it came to verbal communication, especially because I was not a child who openly discussed or talked. I kind of held a lot of my feelings and emotions in. So she introduced poetry to me as an alternative to, since you're not a talker, then let's write about it. So my poetry more or less was a form of expression. It was therapy because I felt that my paper couldn't talk back. It couldn't ridicule me. It couldn't judge me. So I was able to freely open up my emotions to my paper. It really didn't have it was love or pain or hurt. It really was, I wrote whatever I was feeling. Now, I had poetry about homeless. I've never been homeless. I've had poetry, about different things that I've never experienced, but things I've seen on TV or I felt bad about or that touched me. in addition to things that I went through, things I've experienced. So it was my way of releasing those emotions so I didn't have all of that stuff bottled inside of me.
That's amazing, and that you say that. And I'm thinking about all of the gun violence that's taking place in the city of Philadelphia right now, and actually all across the world. That's amazing for that child who does not know how to express him or herself, or for that child that may not want to express him or herself. That's an amazing outlet for someone to be able to express themselves on paper. And like you said, have no one judge you. This is feeling, but I'm able to get those feelings out in that manner. So you are an author. So do you have any books currently? And if you do, please tell us about them.
So I have to date, I have authored and published 26 books within 7 different genres. Right now, I'm currently enjoying writing books in the children's genre. I just released I'm still working on, but I just released books for my Michelle children's book series. And that children's book series I always call it's my Black and brown version of Dora, if you will. Even though I love Dora, no shade against Dora. But I wanted our children to be able to see themselves on an adventure. I wanted our children to be able to be, comfortable of learning or exploring and not thinking, okay, well, this little girl doesn't look like me, but maybe only she can go to the castle and ride the dragon or whatever. No, now I created Michelle, and Michelle is doing the same thing and letting our children know that there is life outside of your block. There is life outside of your steps.
That's true. That's true. And why did you name her Michelle?
Actually, my middle name is Michelle. So I took my middle name, and because as Charron already has her books. Charron writes self-help, nonfiction, inspirational motivation, poetry. So Michelle was my inner child that I was able to go back into that little girl inside and say, hey, what does she want to say? Or is there anything left that she wanted to do? Charron is good. So let's go heal and tap into this little girl. So I named her Michelle, which is the little girl of me.
Okay. So now I have to write some things about Patricia. Patricia's my middle name. So yeah, because I know Patricia wants to do some things. I don't know. Melany will be 51, but Patricia might want to do some things that's about 22 or 21. But I don't know. I don't know if my husband will allow me to do it, but I'll cross that bridge when
we can try.
Now, did you say that you were a playwright?
Yes. I started playwriting. Actually, I got into playwriting when my very first book of poetry was released, My Side of the Story. And everybody kept telling me poetry's dead. Nobody's going to listen to poetry. Nobody cares about poetry. That died out with Dr. Maya Angelou. And I'm like, no, that's not true. And then that was around the same time Tyler Perry came out with his plays. And I was like, what about if I fused them together? And I took that book of poetry and turned it into a stage play. And that was like the bark of my playwriting career. And that play was called Living Your Life. It premiered in Philadelphia in 2012. And then it went down to DC, and other people has licensed it and put it up at other locations. And I've written for other people. I've written, directed, and produced other stage plays of mine. So that's my thing. I love to turn books. I think it's important, especially because a lot of people don't sit down and read a book, but people will watch a TV show or go see a play. So that's like my reverse psychology. So we'll go, I'll write the book, I'll make the production, and then the production will make you go buy the book. And it works.
Okay. Now, is it your goal or passion one day to actually be doing this full time instead of your actual 9 to 5?
Absolutely. If I had it my way, I would be doing this full time and not my 9 to 5. But I do respect the powers of, stability. You have children. You don't want them to have to suffer, on those down months. So I respect my position as a mother, but definitely, once my youngest graduates and his life is settled, my retirement papers will be in.
Okay. And it amazes me, like reading Tyler Perry's story, like he's sleeping in the car. And again, that's that hard work. But
Right.
I commend you as a mother. When my children were small, I made the decision to work from home and to educate my children. So I homeschooled my children for a little bit. But when they were in school, like elementary school, I was right there.
Right.
I made the sacrifice to work from home because I understand the importance of being a good mother. My husband was there also, and I did hear you say that you are divorced. So my hat off to you as far as making that sacrifice to make sure that your children are good, because that home life being so
important.
And that actually helps us, like you and I, because we did some things we had no business doing. Even though I knew Reverend Dr. John L. Payne would get me if he knew somebody did. But as children, we still do things we have no business doing. We have those grounded parents that love us and know that they're going to get us. It's only but so far we will go. So I take my hat off to you when making that sacrifice to make sure that your family is good before you go out.
Absolutely.
Listen, it's Charron Michelle's time, because I'm sure both of you will enjoy that beautiful journey that will come before you. So,
absolutely.
What message would you have for that Black and brown girl that thinks it's impossible to be a writer? Whether it's poetry, whether it's playwriting, what message do you have, not only for that Black and brown girl, but for that Black and brown boy? What message do you have?
My biggest message for the Black and brown boy or little girl or adult or teenager: use your pen to be your voice if your voice doesn't assist you with getting the results that you want. That was one of my major things, because I was a child who felt that my voice didn't matter. Or, coming in a time where you spoke as a child, or you moved as a child, or you couldn't ask certain things because you're a child. If you feel that people don't understand you, and I hear this because I communicate a lot with my boys. I have 2 children. And that was one of the things, is like, the older generation doesn't understand us, so we're not going to say anything, or the older generation take us for granted, or, misunderstand how we're acting out. And it's the lack of communication. So if you're not reaching people or reaching those who can offer you help and assistance, write it down. Right. And I'm not saying that you have to be a great writer. That's another myth, that people feel as though they have to be, award-winning writers who know how to cross the T and dot the I and know where to comma. No, that's what editors are for. You don't have to be perfect. Trust me. I've been writing for years and I still have an editor. I still forget to put my comment in there. Writing doesn't mean it's perfect. Just get your conversation out, get your feelings out, get your emotions out, get whatever you're holding and get that out. There's another way to handle life and handle life's challenges than to act out. Write it and hand it to someone that you trust, or someone you feel is going to understand your words without the judgment. That's literally how my career started. I wrote and I passed it on to people that I felt could understand me, not as I'm being, flip, or I'm trying to be grown. No, just understand the voice and the feelings of this little girl. And thus far, when I write books or I release books, people still understand the big girl and now the little girl. And they either gravitate to me, or they look to me for help, or they say, hey, I can help you. So you never know. Don't hide your feelings. Use your words to express them.
That's awesome. And my editor has always been Patricia Payne, my mom. I couldn't stand when she got that red pen out. I'm like,
absolutely.
All this red ink on it, like, for real, like, Mom, come on now. I know
absolutely.
This does not need correction. But as I got older, I do appreciate, and I send her everything, even in the position now. Can you please proof this? because I
Right.
need help. So it is important for us to get help, and understanding that getting help doesn't mean we're weak.
Right.
Getting help just means that I need to make sure this is good before I share it with the world.
Absolutely, absolutely. And be open to that help. I know a lot of times people, we're sensitive, we don't like criticism, we feel people critiquing us too much, or you trying to judge my passion. Because I have one of my editors with time, just like you said with Miss Payne, is that every time she edits my stuff, she always sends me back red. And I'm like, okay, this is disrespectful. I'm almost like Erica Badu. This is disrespectful. I am sensitive. How dare you? Been writing since I'm 14 and I'm almost 50, and you still like cussing her out in a regular way. But I have to take a step back and say, okay, you know what, Charron? It's not saying that you're not a good writer. It's not saying that you need to put, hang up your pen. She's making you better. Or at least she's making you sound. Right. And the sound better is all, is all I need when you're doing it on a professional level. But if you're a kid or a teenager and you're not trying to publish or get your works out there in a bigger space, don't even worry about the editing. Just get the story out. Just get the feelings and the emotions out. And this way you're able to communicate without reacting.
Question. You said you have editors. Are they donating their time to you, or do you have to actually compensate them? Speak to that piece and how people can utilize like their circle. Like my mom is good for editing, so I don't have to pay her anything other than hugs and kisses. So right. How can people utilize their great circle to be able to help them elevate?
Now, when it comes to me, I have an official business, a literary business called Pen Legacy LLC, and I have a staff. So all of my team, from graphic designers to editors, to copy editors, to typesetters, everybody gets paid. But before I got to this level in business where I actually have employees, is I utilize my circle by understanding and networking who was good at what. So I would look at my friends, know what their niche was. We just didn't talk about, what was going on Netflix or what club we going to know my friends in my circle. So I know my girlfriend, Chrissy, is good at math. She's my accountant. I know that Sally is good at contracts. I went to Sally for contracts. So I got to know who was in my circle, not just what all we had in common, but who could serve me. And then a lot of times we would work on, everybody knew I was the writer. So I wrote for everybody, friends, family, sorority, OES, I write for everybody. So that's my way of saying, hey, can you do this? And I'll do that. This way it eliminates the money aspect of it, because we're working together. We're all in a tribe and we're all working together to help each other get better.
Okay. How hard was it for you to get your books published? How hard was it for you to get that play on in Philadelphia and beyond?
How much time we got? Ooh, child, this is a book in itself. How hard, honey, how hard. It's very hard, to be completely honest with you, because whatever you don't know how to do, you have to convince other people that it's needed so they can invest in you. That's key. And that convincing and that persuasion is because to us, what we do is amazing.
Exactly.
It's mine. Like, this is my dream. You dare to say I'm not a good writer. So to me, I'm the best writer. I don't care what nobody says. Okay. I'm very conceited on that, and I'm okay with that. But to convince an investor, to convince a publishing company, to convince a producer, to convince a film person, to convince somebody that I am your it is hard. And a lot of times, especially today with everything being independent, you got social media, you got Google, you got iPhones that records movies. Nowadays, you really kind of have to show and prove. Whereas before, back then, we didn't have all of this. We didn't have Google or internet back in the 90s. We didn't even have cell phones. So you really had to put foot to the ground, sell books out the trunk of your car, attend everything that you could afford. It was really putting the person to the person and pitching and having a conversation and persuading and convincing and sending scripts and getting this and getting that. Whereas now you can really just shoot your own film or write a book and publish it through, KDP, and then, build yourselves and then promote. But it's not easy, especially if you need that financial backing. For me, I funded my business with my corporate job.
Okay.
Because I did not want a lot of people owning me. And that's another piece of the chapter of this book. When people invest, they have a tendency of owning. They feel like they own, they want 5% or they want 10%. So for me, it was my job funded my career until my career funded itself. And that for me was how I, became published and did my plays. I would literally take a paycheck. There were times when my rent was late because I had to pay the production. It was really what they call a hustle. It's really a hustle. It's really a hustle. Your first couple years is not easy and you want to quit because you can't afford it. But that dream, that faith, you believing in yourself, and then you having that 1 and 2 persons that say, girl, I got you. Here's $100. Or girl, hey, I got you. Or hey, I believe in you. That's all you need. But you need to believe in yourself. So when that door closes or you hear that no, you won't give up too easily.
And what's going to be amazing, Charron, is that one day when you're least expected, that play that you probably did in Philly or that play that you probably did in another state, someone may get hold of that tape and your life will change forever. It's just that unexpected moment. You know what I mean? At that time, but that's that hustle that's going to pay off when you're least
expected. Yes. That's why you have to stay consistent, because you don't want to do one great thing and then hope and pray that one great thing. People, especially with social media, people are watching. Anytime I go to any event, the first thing people ask me is, what is your social media? Or what is your name? And before I can walk away from them, they're already on Google.
Yes, yes.
People are not investing in people that are one and done. This is not a one-hit wonder year anymore. You have to be consistent, and it does get hard. But like you said, at that least expected, I may get that phone call and say, girl, come on, I give you 2 weeks notice, I'm out. But when that opportunity do come, I've done enough, as they say, I've paid my dues.
Right.
I've been in this game consistently, and I've shown that I am the one of, I ain't gonna take the whole spot, but one of the greatest writers of all times.
I know that's right. And Charron, I want to say I am very proud of you for all of the work that you have done. And again, for not giving up. It's so easy to give up and it's so easy to walk away. So I'm very proud of you.
Thank you.
The good work, continue to educate and continue to write. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Life is hard, but for what you want, you have to work even harder to get it. Do not give up. Do not let failure stop you in your tracks. Learn from all of your failures and make great success. Thank you so much for joining me today. Peace and love.